Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome to this morning's Srimad Bhagavatam class, which is a recording of a class given by Srila Prabhupada. Canto 1, Chapter 15, Text 32. We ask that you keep the listening the volumes of your listening devices a little bit. Sometimes the recording is a little low. Without further ado, we'll start the class. Hare Krishna.
Translation. Upon hearing of Lord Krishna's returning to his abode, and upon understanding the end of the Yadu dynasty's earthly manifestation, Mahārāja Yudhiṣṭhira decided to go back home, back to Godhead.
So, hearing all the details, how Krishna has gone back to his abode, and how the Yadu dynasty was destroyed by fighting amongst themselves. So naturally, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj was very sober and very advanced. He thought what to do next. Everyone should think that the Yadu dynasty, they belong directly to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Nobody could conquer them, but still they were also finished by others could not conquer them, but they fought amongst themselves and were vanquished. So everyone should take care that after all we have to give up this body, estate, and whatever we possess, we have to give up. After giving up, what is next? We have to give up. That is a fact. If you don't give it up now, at the time of death, you must give it up, everything. Mrityu sarva harascha ham. You may try to keep in possession whatever you have got, but at the time of death, you have to give it up. By force it will be taken up. Everyone should think like that. That is soberness. One who is thinking that my family, my nation, my society, my bank balance, my skyscraper building, my motor cars, these will save me. That is not possible. That is not possible. That is the conclusion of the foolish person. Pramatta tasya nidhanam passannapi na pasyati. Those who are mad, they do not see that everything they possess will be vanished. It will not stay. He will be vanished, his body will be vanished, everything. Dehapatta kalatradishu atmasanneshu asassu api. Asassu api. All these things are temporary. But I am eternal. They do not think very seriously that I am eternal and I am engaged with temporary things. You know, what is my eternal business? They do not know. That they do not know. This is called foolishness, mudha. But you are eternal. About you, you have heard from the Shastra and you are experiencing that I was a child, I was a boy, I was a young man. So my body, childhood body, boyhood body, youthhood body is gone. This body is not that body. Nobody can say. I have got a different body. But I know that I had a childhood body, I had a boyhood body, youthhood body. That I know. So I am eternal. And this body is not eternal, it is changing. It is a very simple thing. Why people cannot understand it? Very simple. Avinashi tu tadvidhi jena sarvamidam tatham antavatui me deha. This is the instruction in the Bhagavad Gita. This body is antavat. It will be finished. But that thing which is spreading all over the body, avinashi, that will not be annihilated. Avinashi tu tad vidhi, jena sarvamidam tato, that consciousness. The consciousness is spread all over the body. And Krishna says that that thing which is spread all over the body, consciousness, that is immortal. That now our consciousness is immortal consciousness or mortal consciousness. That is to be seen. I am absorbed in thought of this mortal consciousness. This is my country, this is my body, this is my family, this is my community, this is my nation. They are all mortal. But immortal consciousness is that I am Krishna's. That is immortal consciousness. Krishna is mine and I am Krishna's. This is immortal consciousness. When you come to this consciousness, that is called Krishna consciousness, then you are saved. Immortal consciousness. So long you have got temporary consciousness, then just like our mind changes. I accept something now, I reject something again. So this body is being manufactured according to the acceptance and rejection of my mind. The body is formed. Otherwise, why you have got different bodies? You are sitting here, so many boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody's body will exactly tally with other body. No. Because the face is the index of mind. You have got different types of mind, therefore you have got different types of body. Not everyone's. So this is to be understood. Therefore Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, svaḥ-pathāya matiṁ cakre, this is meditation, actually. What I am, where from I have come, I am eternal. Why my body is not eternal? I would have been very happy if my body would have been eternal, but that is not being possible. Everyone knows. But I desire that I may not die. My body may not be vanquished. That is my desire. But nobody is meditating upon this subject matter. They have learned some meditation, I do not know. What kind of meditation? This is meditation. Matiṁ cakre. Svaḥ-pathāya matiṁ cakre. Nibhṛtātmā yudhiṣṭhira. So, these things are to be solved. So, Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, now he will retire. After this, they will give up the kingdom. Not that. This is the Vedic system. However rich you may be, however prosperous you may be, at your home or in your nation or in any way as you think, but you have to think that actually these things are temporary. I am eternal. So what is my eternal function? That is meditation. What is my eternal function? What is my eternal duty? Where is my eternal home? That is Krishna consciousness. So Krishna consciousness movement is not ordinary movement, manufactured something for recreation. No. It is very serious science. Jad-gatyāna nibhṛtātmā tad-dhāma paramam mama. We are searching after some permanent place, permanent settlement on the world. Nobody wants to die, but that is not possible. But if there is possibility of going somewhere where no more death, why don't you search after that? That is intelligence. That information there in the Bhagavad Gita. Abrahma bhuvanan lokan puraravartinojjano. If you go to the topmost planet which is known as Brahmaloka, now the Brahmaloka, the duration of life, you cannot calculate even their 1 day's time. That we are discussing this morning. that is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, there are 12 hours. Our 12 hours and their 12 hours different. There are 12 hours you cannot calculate. The 4,300,000 of years multiplied by 1,000. Now see how many years. That is the 12 hours. So leave 100 years there also. So even if you go there, Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, or any planet, or any place, there must be death. Death you must have. But I am eternal. Why shall I accept death? That is intelligence. That information is given in Bhagavad Gita. Madhāma-gatya punarjanma na vidyate. If you come to my place, my planet, then you will have no more to come back again to this mortal world. Madhāma-gatya. Jad-gatya nibhṛtātmā tad-dhāma paramam mama. Where going nobody returns. That is, actually, we want. In another place Krishna says, Takta dehang punarjanma naiti mamiti kaunteya. My dear Kaunteya John, Takta dehang, after giving up this body, punarjanma naiti, no more coming into the womb of material mother. Then what does he go? Mamiti. In this Bhagavatamrita, Sanatana Goswami stated that if you become perfect in Krishna consciousness, then immediately after death you will be sent where Krishna is having his pastimes within this material world. In the material world, just like the sun rotates, similarly Krishna's pastimes is going on. That is another feature of his activities. Because he wants to reclaim these fallen souls, and there are millions and trillions, unlimited fallen souls within this material world. So he goes everywhere. Yada yada hi dharma sagrani bhavati bharata tadatmanam sajamaham. As soon as there is discrepancies in the understanding of eternal life, he appears, he teaches. So Krishna is teaching somewhere. There are so many innumerable universes. Just like Krishna appears as Janmashtami. In this universe, immediately in another universe there is Janmashtami. Immediately in another universe there is Janmashtami. So therefore it is called Nitya Lila. Nitya Lila means the Janmashtami is going on. His Govardhan Lila is going on. Everything what he displayed while he was present, that is going on. Just like the sun. Now it is 7:30. Now 6:30 there is somewhere. The 6:30, it is not that because the sun has passed 6:30 in this country, therefore there is no more 6:30. 6:30 is somewhere. Is it not? 6:30 is there. Similarly, it is not that because Krishna has now finished his Janmashtami, therefore no more Janmashtami. Janmashtami is going on. This is Krishna here. So, Krishna is present. There are innumerable universes. In one of them he is always present. There is rotation. Just the sun rotates, morning to evening. Similarly, Krishna's Leela is going on. Just like something, a horse is passing before your eyes. You see the horse is passing through your windows, and then you do not see the horse. Does that mean the horse is finished? No. The horse is running. But when it comes before your window, you see. Similarly, Krishna's Leela pastime is going on. And when he appears here, exactly like the sun. The sun is always present, but the planet is rotating. So when it comes before your eyes, you see the sun. But if you do not see the sun, it does not mean the sun is finished. As formerly they used to think like that, the sun is dead. So, if you become perfect in Krishna consciousness, perfect in Krishna consciousness means no more material desire. That's all. Only Krishna. That is perfection. So long you'll have a pinch of material desire, you'll have to take birth. According to your desire, Krishna will give you facility. Why there are so many types of body, 8 million. Jang-janga bhapi smaranam bhavang tajatante kalavar sadatad bhava bhavita. We are making our next body by thinking of something. We have got so many thoughts, material thoughts. So, at the time of death, when that thought is prominent, then I get the next moment, a body like that. So, if you simply think of Krishna only, then you get a body by which you can go to Krishna. You can go to Krishna. Taktadi hang punarjanman. It is very scientific and very practical. So by going to Krishna, you can talk with Krishna personally, you can play with Krishna personally, you can dance with Krishna. That is Krishna Loka. Just like we have got a picture, Rasa dancing going, here is picture, Krishna's. Everyone can get this opportunity. Therefore Krishna comes to show practically how enjoyable life with Krishna in Vrindavan. Krishna is simply jolly, anandamaya abhyasat. In Vrindavan life you'll see everyone is jolly. The birds, trees, and the water, the land, the cows, the calves, the inhabitants, the cowherd boys, everyone is happy simply by loving Krishna. Simply by loving Krishna. Krishna therefore manifests his Leela. That why you are rotting in this material world? Come to me and enjoy life eternally. That is Krishna. Business. He is so kind. Yada yada hi dhamma saglari bhavati bharata. People when they become debauched to enjoy life in this material world. What is the enjoyment? The last enjoyment, their sex life. Is that very good enjoyment? But they have accepted. Jana maithunadi grihamedi sukham mitucham. Maithun means sex intercourse. That is their life and soul. They do not know, they have no information. That there is better pleasure, eternal pleasure. That they do not know. Therefore, there is need of Krishna consciousness movement to understand that. What is that? Niśamya bhagavan-mārgaṁ, the way of God. These rascals do not understand what is God, they do not know what is the feature of God, and still they will not accept this Krishna consciousness movement. We are giving, here is God, here is this form of God. He is so nice, he is so beautiful, his address is this, he can go there by this process. No, we don't want. Then what do you want? I want to become a pig. That's all. Only to become pig. What can be done? And what shall I eat? I will eat stool. That's all. All right. Not prasadam? No. So what can you do? We are distributing a prasadam and he'll go to eat some rascal thing in the restaurant. You see? This is misfortune. Mandas mandamatayo mandu bhagga jupadita. Because unfortunate in this age, they will accept something wrong. Therefore our task is very responsible. We have to canvass, we have to plead, solicit, please come here. Please come here in this temple and learn something. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, this is interesting the way Srila Prabhupada ended this. People desire, they want to become what? No, I don't want to be where Krishna is. What do you want to be? I want to become a pig. So he said, all right, become a pig. And what you're going to eat? Stew instead of prasada. So anyway, it sounds funny, but it's actually true. This is what people are going after. And they think it's wonderful. Anyway, devotees, it's a short lecture, 20 minutes. So with your permission, what I'd like to do is to go to the next one. This was 1:15:32, so we can go to 1:15:33, which is also fairly short, and it should finish before this is over. The time
Translation.
is over. Okay, so here we
Kunti,
go.
after overhearing Arjuna's telling of the end of the Yadu dynasty and disappearance of Lord Kṛṣṇa, engaged in the devotional service of the transcendental personality of Godhead with full attention, and thus gained release from the course of material existence.
So, Krishna has got two kinds of existence, prakat and aprakat. Prakat means when you see Krishna personally, when Krishna is present on this planet, everyone can see Krishna, and actually everyone saw, but only the devotees could understand that here is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is called prakat, physically present. And there is another phase which is called aprakat, not physically present. But that does not mean Krishna is dead or God is dead. That does not mean. Prakat or aprakat, physically present or not present, it doesn't matter. So, after all, he is adho-khaja. This word is used. Adha. Adha means subdued. And akhya, akhya means eyes or senses. Akhaja, ja means generated. So, our senses are there, eyes, ears, hands, legs, nose, so many, 10 senses are there. So, we are acquiring knowledge, generated. Knowledge is generated from the senses, but so long our senses are materially contaminated, we do not get real knowledge. We have to acquire knowledge through the senses. But unless our senses are purified, we do not have real knowledge. So, we cannot appreciate or understand God, His form, His name, His quality, His pastime, His entourage, nothing of them we can understand by these more present material senses. That is not possible. Therefore his name is adho-khaja. Adha. Adha means cut down. You cannot approach the Supreme by these blunt material senses. That is not possible. Therefore his name is adho-khaja. Adhakrita akhaja jnanam jatra. The adhokkhaya Gyan means experimental knowledge. Just like the modern scientists, they believe in experimental knowledge. But they are so rascal, in their own case, they will say, yes, we are trying, in future it will be successful. Why not experimental knowledge now? If you say that life is generated from matter, you are writing so many books and getting Nobel Prize, why not by experimental knowledge prove that here are some matters and chemicals and here is life? That is we will try. This is the escape. Actually science means two things, observation and experiment. If you do not experiment practically in the laboratory, simply observation is not sufficient. That is not science. That is theory. Anyway, this experimental knowledge is not very helpful in the matter of understanding the Supreme. Experimental knowledge there is, but not by these blunt senses. When these senses are purified, then that experimental knowledge, that is means spiritual experimental knowledge, that is perfect. Therefore it is says, adho-khaja. And our Krishna consciousness movement is to understand that adho-khaja. Adho-khaja means it is beyond the perception of this material sense. This is our subject matter. Our subject matter is not anything material. Material is within the purview of my material senses. But our subject matter is beyond the senses. Adho-khaja, therefore it is said. Adho-khaja. Just like Kunti and others. Krishna was not present before their eyes. Krishna has already gone to his abode. So still it is said that ekanta bhaktya bhagavati adho-khaje. Adho-khaje, the same word is. But if you cannot see God now, how there can be ekanta bhakti? Ekanta bhakti means unallied devotion. This is the secret of devotional life. Even God is not physically present, a devotee can be very much exalted by devotional service. That is the teaching of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because the sahajiyas means persons who take things very easily, according to his sense perception, manufacture, they are called sahajiyas. But these Gauriya Vaishnava, the devotees following the footprints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they are not sahajiyas, they are devotee of the adho-khaja. Beyond the sense perception, still they are devotee. This is the secret of Gauriya Vaishnava. Beyond the sense perception. Just like Goswamis, they were living at Vrindavan. And what sort of living? Simply separation and search. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also taught us like that. He was searching, where is Krishna? Where is Krishna? And feeling separation. Just like you feel sometimes with your lover separation and you search. This is our process. Always feel separation from Krishna and try to search out. This is ekanta. This is explained here. Ekanta bhaktya bhagavati adhokhaje. Adhokhaje is beyond my perception. Still my devotion is unalloyed. Not that I cannot see where is God. What is devotion? Just try to understand. It appears to be contradictory. Because foolish people say that if you cannot see God, where is the question of devotion? You want to serve God, but if you cannot see God, then how you can serve? Therefore, particularly this word is used, ekanta bhaktya bhagavati adhokhaje niveshita atmopurama saṁsthāṁ. That is the process. So, even though we cannot see God with our present eyes, but God is so merciful that He becomes present before us in a manner by which we can see Him. That is this, vigraha or cha vigraha. God is beyond our sensual perception, adhokhaya. But those who are neophyte, they may become atheists, that we cannot see God, that how can I serve Him? But those who are advanced, they can see God every moment, although physically others cannot see. The example is that Hiranyakasipu and Prahlāda. Prahlāda is seeing God, but his father, he is asking, where is your God? Where is your God? You are saying to the column, pillar, is there your God there? But he is seeing God there. He says yes. So he became angry, he broke the column, and actually God came out. So it is the question of advancement. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers taught us that if you feel separation, how you will feel separation? Unless you love. And you simply worship the Supreme in a feeling of separation, then that is perfection. Then that is perfection. Therefore, the Goswamis, their prayer, their method of worshipping the Lord at Vrindavan, they left their ministerial post and went to Vrindavan by the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, what was their process? The process was tatya turnamase samandalapati saning sadatu chava. They gave up their materialistic way of life as very insignificant. They are ministers. Their associates were very big men. But tattva turnam asesa mandalapati. Mandalapati means leaders. Leaders of the society, big politicians, businessmen, important men. Because they were ministers, everyone used to come to see, and they were associated with them, but they gave up. Tattva turnamasi samandalapati sani. How it was given sada tuchva. There is insignificant. What is this? There is no need of. And bhutva dīna ganesha kaukan. Why? Why they gave it up? Because they thought, under the instruction of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they understood that so many mass of people are suffering without Krishna consciousness. So we have to do something for them. Therefore they gave up. Not a fancy, I become naked. That's all. What is the use of your becoming naked? You must do something. That is Krishna consciousness movement. Not that I have become a mendicant. I have given up all material things. You cannot give material things. Instead of coat pant, you may have a shabby cloth, that's all. You cannot give up. That is not possible. You have to accept something. But they are thinking that because I have given up this coat pant and I have now a shabby dress, I have become advanced. Not that. You must have some positive engagement. That is we find in the life of Goswamis. Tattva turnamasi samandalapati saning sada tuchava bhutya dina ganesako karunaya kopina kanthasito. Kopina kanthasito, loin cloth only. Minimizing the bodily necessities of life. Because they are prepared. Dina ganesako karunaya. To give mercy to the mass of people. Mass of people. If you become so much dependent on the bodily necessities of life, then you cannot become fully and wholly for the benefit of the mass of people. And our Gandhi, he imitated this for the mass of people, but that was to a certain extent successful, but it was political purpose. It was political purpose. These things are not for any material purpose. Then it will be failure. If you imitate a spiritual life for material benefit, then it will be failure. So, the Goswamis did not do so. They gave up this material opulence for spiritual advancement, positive. If you don't get something positive simply by negative process, you will never be happy. Then again, you will fall down. Just like big swamis in India, sometimes they come to your country also. They say that this world is false. Jagat mithya. Mithya. But we don't say that it is false. We say it is reality, but temporary. That is right philosophy. How it can be false? Because everything is produced by the truth, by the absolute truth. Janmadasya jata. Nothing can come out except from the absolute truth. Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the origin of everything. The Krishna is truth, he is the origin of everything. So how everything can be false? Is that very logical? No. If something has come from gold, just like we have got so many preparation of gold bangles, gold earring, gold necklace, but it has come from the gold, therefore it is gold. How it can be false? Gold is never false, gold is gold. So this philosophy that Brahma Sattva Jagan Mithya, the gold mine is right, but the gold earring is wrong. No, that you cannot say. If gold mine is right, then gold earring is also right, because it has come from the gold mine. Similarly, Krishna says that aham sarvasya prabhava. I am the origin of everything. And the Vedanta Sutra also says, dharmadasya jataha. Absolute truth is there from how this material world can be false. It is true. Then what is that false? It is not false, it is temporary. But the idea that this material world is for my enjoyment, that is false. That is false. As soon as you take things that it is for my enjoyment, then it is false. Because you cannot enjoy, you are not the proprietor. God is the proprietor. Why the trouble? Why the problem of the world? Because people are taking things for their enjoyment. Why this petrol problem? Actually, that petrol, stock of petrol, in any part of the world, that is God's property, but these rascals, they are claiming that my property. That is false. Neither the petrol is false, neither God is false, everything is right, but this conception that this petrol belongs to me, this is false. And as soon as this false conception is moved, that is Krishna consciousness. Very simple thing. So we are trying to remove this rascal's false conception. That is Krishna consciousness movement. We don't say that this world is false. Why this world is false? It is not false. It is fact. It may be temporary, but it is fact. Just like this winter season. It will not stay. It will be for 3 months. Again, summer season will come. So we cannot say that this winter season is false. No, it is not false. It is fact. But it is temporary. So temporary things, although it is real, so if we can utilize that reality, sense of reality, for the supreme reality, then our life is successful. That is called ekanta bhaktya. That is stated here. Ekanta bhaktya bhagavati adhokhaje. Ekanta bhaktya. Ekanta means without any diversion. Everything, ishavasya, or thinking, that everything belongs to Krishna. Why shall I use it for my personal sense gratification? This is called ekanta bhakti. Ekanta. Eka. Ekameva dvityam. Eka. Krishna is one. There cannot be any competition of Krishna. So eka anta. That one end. Bhakti. Serving. That supreme. Ekanta bhakti. Bhaja. Ananya bhag. Bhajati mam ananya bhag. Sadhuriva samantavva. Apite sudurachara bhajati mam ananya bhag. That ananya bhag means simply concentrated to Krishna, that is required. That devotion, in any circumstances, it doesn't matter whether Krishna is personal, Krishna is present, but because we want to see with our material eyes, therefore we claim this, that I want to see Krishna. He does not accept that he has no eyes to see Krishna, but with his burnt eyes he wants to see Krishna. Therefore his name is yadu-kulasya. Krishna is there. That sun is there in the sky, but the person who is in darkness at night, he wants to see sun. He is in darkness. Otherwise, one who can fly from this country to other country, he can see immediately. The sun is there. Sun is everywhere, but my eyes are being covered by Maya. I cannot see. Therefore he is called adhokhaja. Adhokhaja. So Krishna consciousness movement is to understand that adhokhaja. And that is the Bhagavad Dharma. Sabai pungsang paro dharma. Jato bhakti adhokhaje. Not to become a rascal, that here is the avatar of Krishna. Let us go and see. One who can see Krishna, he can see Krishna everywhere. He can see Krishna here. Why one should go to a rascal, another rascal? No, that is not. Therefore Krishna is adhokhaja. There are so many things to be learned. Everything is there in the authoritative scripture. If we take advantage of these books, we are taking so much labor to present, you can understand the science of Krishna very perfectly, and your life becomes successful. It is not the question of seeing Krishna personally or not. Krishna is personally present everywhere. Simply you have to purify your eyes to see Krishna. That is one. That is the process of Krishna consciousness. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tatparatena nirmalam. This is the process. You have to be above the designation. Sarva upadhi vinirmuktam. In this way you have to become purified, nirmalam. Nirmalam, malam means dirt, and nir means no dirt. Sarvapadhi vinirmuktam tatparatena nirmalam rishikena rishikesa sevanam bhakti richat. In this way, when your senses will be purified, then you will be eligible to serve Krishna. Rishikena rishikesa sevanam. Because Krishna is the proprietor of this sense. He is the proprietor of everything. So our senses, as we claim, this is my hand. Actually, this is not my hand. It is Krishna's hand. Krishna has given me to use it. Therefore, this hand, just like my hand, is utilized for my benefit. I am not using this hand for your benefit. This is natural. My hands, my legs, my eyes are used for my purpose. So if it is actually Krishna's hand, how it can be used for your purpose? So when you learn this science, that this hand, I am claiming, it is not my hand, it is Krishna's hand, it should be utilized for Krishna, that is Krishna consciousness. That is Krishna consciousness. So that we have to learn by the process, as it is ekanta bhaktya bhagavati aduk. Then what is the benefit? Nivesita atma upararama saṁsthāṁ. If you can utilize your senses for the service of adho-khaja, beyond your sense perception, if you adopt that method, then the benefit will be nivesita atma, fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, always. That is very easy, but those who are not do it, for them it is very difficult. Krishna says, he gives the prescription that satatang chintayantang ma, always thinking of manmana bhava madbhakta madhyaji mang namaskuru. Here is the chance. You come to the temple, engage in the temple service, naturally your mind will be absorbed in Krishna. This temple is open not for making a fuss, just to make this process. Nivesita atma, always absorbed in Krishna thought. That is the process. Always, 24 hours. Kirtaniya sadahari. This is the process. 24 hours we shall be engaged. Not that 5 minutes meditation and then 23 hours and 40 minutes engaged in other business. No. 24 hours engaged in Krishna's business. That is called nivesita atma. Then what will be the result? Upararama saṁsthāṁ. Upararama means then you cease from this repetition of birth and death. This will be the result. This is the actual aim of human life. Animal life and human life, this is the difference we repeatedly say. The animal cannot understand, neither they can perform how to check birth, death, old age. That is not possible for the animal. But human being can do that. Tattādeham punarjanma naiti. What is that process? Nibhṛtātmā. Always be absorbed in Krishna thought, and you are saved from this repetition of birth, death and old age. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees, for coming on to hear this wonderful 2 lectures. We were able to just squeeze into the time that we have today. So much Srila Prabhupada talked about the preparation to go back to Godhead as soon as the news was broken to the Pandavas that the Arjuna came and broke the news that the Yadu dynasty had actually folded up through the civil war. Then they got ready to go. In this particular one, the text 33 also mentioned Maharani Kunti also getting ready to go. Same, they all want to be with Krishna. And so the pastimes were wrapped up, then they knew that they had to prepare to go. Devotees, this is the time to unmute yourself. We have some comments that you'd like to, or questions you want to ask, takeaways that you want to express here, so we can have nice Krishna Katha. Please unmute yourself and do that. Hare Krishna Vishwagata Prabhu, can you start us off if you have some takeaways from it? Hare Krishna. And dear Krishna, after that, yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. There's I always have the questions from the first one and from the second one. I'll just the first one is the first lecture Srila Prabhupada was talking about that from the Srimad Bhagavatam that Yudhiṣṭhira is preparing to go back to Godhead. And I was recalling that Srila Prabhupada wrote in a letter, and I'll just read the letter.
Okay.
To answer your second question, you should know that Arjuna and Kunti Devi are not in Krishna Loka. They are eternally associated with Krishna only in the material world. Just like Krishna is always in the spiritual world, so similarly he is always in the material world, and his pastimes are going on there also. In the material world, Krishna also has his eternal associates, such as Arjuna and Kunti Devi. There is a difference between the body and soul of Arjuna and Kunti Devi, but although Arjuna is with Krishna in innumerable universes at one time, still there is only one spirit soul who's Arjuna. So anyway, that point, how those 2 things are true, that point, because you hear that Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj, who's not Kunti or Arjuna, but I don't know if he would be included. You understand the question?
Well, you were talking about the Kunti and Arjuna particularly being in the material world and performing pastimes. I mean, and being part of Krishna's pastimes in the material world, because Krishna is always somewhere.
And not in Krishna Loka.
Yeah.
And not in Krishna Loka. So the verse here is about Yudhiṣṭhira Maharaj and then later Kunti preparing to go back to Godhead. So how do those 2 things? How are those consistent?
I can reconcile those 2.
Yes. That's the question. And of course, a little associated with that question would be from the first lecture that Srila Prabhupada talked about. Lord Krishna is in a universe in the material world. He's always in one universe in the material world. At the same time, he said that just after Janmashtami happens in one universe, it happens in another universe immediately, he said, if you recall.
Yes.
So the question could be raised, does that mean that Krishna is only in one universe in the material world at one time? Or is he in many universes at one time? So those two questions I'm putting out just to get a better understanding of this with the devotees who are present.
What's coming to me about this is from the readings that a few of us have been embarking on 3 days a week. Bhagavan-mārgaṁ. Kumara listed quite a few things that happen in the spiritual world, a few things that is associated with the soul, and the things that the soul can do. And that may be a way to look at this, because Prabhupada has said that, as we started talking about, that these particular servants of the Lord, Kunti, Arjuna, they are in the material world and they go from one place to another in the material world. But then it says here they prepare to go back to Godhead. Bhagavan-mārgaṁ explains the fact that one soul can expand into many personalities. One. And we're not talking about Krishna. We know Krishna does that. But the soul can also do that. So like what we have can also do that. And so sometimes, and examples were given, even Srila, who is current boyfriend of Krishna, is also in Vaikuntha. In Vaikuntha, serving Lord Narayan. But he's also in the spiritual world. And sometimes he comes here to the material world also. So basically, because the soul can expand and be in different places with Krishna at the same time, so I can see how Kunti can go to the spiritual world and also go to the next pastime in the material world with Krishna. It's possible, only because the soul can do that. And I never knew that until we read Bhagavatam. We were schooled about it. I remember the very place that Gopa Kumara was told this can in fact happen. So that's one way to look at it. That's all I'll say about it for now.
As you said, that was it Sudama was in both the Vaikuntha and the
Sridham. Sridham is also the real popular bird carrier of Krishna. I mean of Vishnu. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but in this letter, Srila Prabhupada says Arjuna and Kunti Devi are not in Krishna Loka.
Yeah, he mentioned that.
Are not in Krishna Loka. So even though they may, as you mentioned, they may be able to expand themselves. So the verse was about Yudhiṣṭhira and going back to Godhead. So perhaps Yudhiṣṭhira goes back to Godhead, even though Arjuna and Kunti back to Godhead in the sense of going back to Krishna Loka or Vaikuntha, and Arjuna and Kunti Devi don't.
Srila Prabhupada said that they are not in Vaikuntha. But it does not mean that they can't.
Who's not in Vaikuntha?
We're talking about Kunti and Arjuna. They are here.
He said they're not in Krishna Loka.
They're not in Krishna Loka. Now, see, that does not mean that they cannot go, though. Or for that matter, different, because there have been times, we can say the same thing, again, from we have our time, and even Garga Samhita also mentions it. We can do the same thing about Brahma. Brahma is Brahma Loka. But Brahma has been invited to Krishna Loka in particular. The whole pastime that he went and he officiated it, he was asked to actually go do that in Krishna Loka. The whole set of prayers that's he prayed at that time in front of Radha and Krishna, sitting on the lotus their throne, on the lotus in Krishna in Golok Vrindavan. But that's not the regular residence of Brahma. So visits that happen. The point we're making.
The version of Garga Samhita is different than the version of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's quite
in many places.
It's quite a contrast. Yeah. In the version of Garga Samhita, the demigods go to as you mentioned, the Krishna Loka. But in the version of Srimad Bhagavatam, they go to the Svaḥ-pathāya. So
I know.
I'm not, and we accept. Srila Prabhupada gave us the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he does quote from the Garga Samhita, but I'm a little cautious to accept to understand the version from the Garga Samhita.
Okay. And you have every right to feel that way, think that way. It's just. Well, I would leave it at that.
Well, anyway, in this case, I don't know if we could say that Yudhiṣṭhira is preparing to go back to Godhead means he's preparing to go back to Vaikuntha, or is he preparing to go to the next universe where Krishna's pastimes are taking place.
Pastimes.
Yeah. So those are options that I was just wondering about that because.
As you were speaking, I was also thinking the same way. Before he just, after even talking about the stuff from Karga Samhita, it's also possible that we go to Krishna. You can even say Krishna, wherever he is, he purifies wherever he is. So that is in fact he owns everything for one. And if he's having a pastime, he'll go into Krishna and being with them. Basically means that you liberate the situation and you're relating to him, wherever that is. Again, Chaitanya Charitamrita backs it up too. When Advaita Acharya told Lord Chaitanya says, where are we? And referring to Vrindavan because Lord Chaitanya wanted to be in Vrindavan. And Advaita Acharya told him that wherever you are, Lord, it is Vrindavan. Need that point. So basically, again, you can look at it that if Kunti, and for that matter, some of the Pandavas are going to where Krishna is, then they really are, in one sense, in Vaikuntha because of the Lord himself and how he purifies wherever he is at. This is as a concept, and not talking about reality, but basically putting two and two together, the way sometimes these are the situations are viewed or interpreted. It's very possible to look at it that way also. Anyway, if you don't mind, Prabhu, let me see what Dear Krishna Prabhu has to say also.
Sure.
Hare Krishna. Dear Krishna Prabhu, please unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Actually, I had a question that I'm trying to recall now after this wonderful discussion.
It happens.
But when you were discussing and His Grace Vishnugata Prabhu were discussing these wonderful points, but one thought is just a thought that came to me, or two thoughts, that when Srila Prabhupada is saying they are not in Krishna Loka, does he really mean Krishna Loka means Golok Vrindavan, or he also includes Vaikuntha in that? Number one. And number two, I heard many years back, I can't recall the reference, that there is a planet in the spiritual world, one of the Vaikuntha planet, where Bhishma Dev is with Dwarkadhish, like Arjun and Krishna in the Sarthi form, and they're continuously having that pastime of fighting with each other. So that again, I don't have the reference right now available. So, and also third point that I could think of is when we hear or read Mahabharata, we see that how all the Pandavas were the ansh, were the partial expansions of some of the demigods, like Lord Indra or Arjuna and all that. So that could be another point that we can try to relate. Those are the only thoughts that were coming to me for this discussion.
The last point you're talking about is the expansions that the devotees can.
Yeah, like Arjuna is the expansion of Indradev, who is in the heavenly planets, right? So he is Ansh of Indradev, and Bhimdev is Ansh of Pavandev, like that. So
that's been talked about before. In fact, when you mention Arjuna, I'm also thinking about Arjuna and Krishna as Nara Narayan. See, that's also another, another expansion and they in meditation. So it seems like different personalities, different expansions, and different pastimes are going on at the same time. The whole situation is far more complex than you see it, and if you begin to pick from different places, then a broader and even fascinating picture sometimes comes out of all of this. But I can understand Vishnugata Prabhu's point also that he's staying with what Srila Prabhupada has talked about. And sometimes when you expand past that, I personally have made the point that if I hear anything extra, it is coming from someone who is connected to Srila Prabhupada. Dhanabhir Goswami, Bhupi-Pradhana Prabhupada, Prabhupada disciples. So I don't go beyond, in that sense, Srila Prabhupada and Srila Prabhupada disciples, what they say, it's as far as I go, and no more than that. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhu, a question, I recall the question.
Okay.
So in the second lecture, Srila Prabhupada mentions that once we get purified, then we are qualified to serve Krishna. So
yes,
the way to understand is that whatever I am being able to try to serve in current condition when I'm not purified, that will make me also make me qualified. I mean, just like we say, the way to remove the nam aprad is to keep chanting. Similarly, right? That's the right way to understand.
Vijay, can you please handle this question? This is a very interesting question. I'd like your take on it.
Oh, yeah, that we keep chanting, but we keep chanting trying to avoid the offenses. If we keep chanting offensively, then it's not going to it'll take a long, long time. So, sadhana means practice, devotional service and practice. So what are we practicing? We're practicing. Why do people practice the, basketball or practice a musical instrument? To get better.
Become perfect. Yeah.
To get better. So we're practicing to get better at our service, at the devotional service, and that practice, but the sincere desire to please Krishna, and then Krishna will reveal to us within the heart, step by step, how to improve it, and then that effort, that continual effort purifies our senses, like that. So that's how I understand it. Does that make sense at all, or no?
Absolutely. For me, it does.
Yes, Prabhu, very encouraging. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Very, very wonderful. Hare Krishna.
Yeah.
I could ask an associated question. Now we're getting into these questions.
Okay.
Because Srila Prabhupada was talking about adhokshaja. Adhokshaja meaning it's not born from the eyes, but eyes being a representative of any sense. But Srila Prabhupada specifically cited the eyes. So then I thought, well, are my only way my eyes are getting purified is if I see the form of Krishna, or say the form of a pure devotee, or will my eyes become purified by chanting Hare Krishna? Because I'm chanting with the ears and the tongue, or is it that all the senses become purified through one service, or do you have to purify them through the for the particular service that's used by that sense? Do you follow the question?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm throwing that question out. I thought it's an interesting question. That's when Srila Prabhupada was talking about that, it came up in my mind.
Would you like to share take on this particular question, since we just floated it out for everybody? Damodar, I realize your hands up. I'll call you for sure. Don't worry about it. Go ahead, Diksha.
Sorry, Prabhu, I am driving, so I lost that conversation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I lost that question. Sorry.
So, Vishnu, but just to be kind, can you just just summarize the question again?
Sure.
Summarize the question again.
So Srila Prabhupada was talking about the senses need to be purified through devotional service to be able to perceive Krishna on the spiritual level, and anything spiritual. So the question was, is it that performing any devotional service will purify all the senses together, or do we have to purify each sense separately? Like if I want to purify my eyes, I have to really use my eyes to focus on the form of the deity, say, looking at the gazing and meditating on the lotus feet. So that was the question.
Okay. Now would you like to? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, my understanding, Prabhu, I mean, such a wonderful question. It's definitely, as per Srila Prabhupada, our first service is chanting, because that is to transform our mind. So, and that is the source of everything, right? What we do, how we think, how we act. So that is definitely a must service. And that's why I think Navda Bhakti is given, where we can do Shravan, Kirtan, all that, to keep on purifying our senses in parallel to our Nam Jap. That is my simple understanding, Prabhu.
I would also say that yeah, chanting purifies all the senses. In fact, I'll say hearing and chanting, both, because you get your guidance from the hearing. And say they both can purify the senses, because then it purifies the mind, and the mind is the center, the control of all the senses. And when the mind gets purified, the senses will follow then. So I'm also thinking that, yeah, chanting is begging Lord Kṛṣṇa to engage us in devotion service, all devotion service. So
I would agree with you both. I think you're right. You're correct. Srila Prabhupada talks about a progression of realization, and it begins with the process of hearing and chanting, and then as the name of Krishna is revealed, then nama, rupa, guna, lila. So rupa would mean the form, which you see with the spiritual eyes, and then the guna is the quality. So yeah, I would agree with that. That's consistent with your take. I thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Damadapu, please unmute yourself. I wanted to say more, but we'll hold you too long. So go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances for the Lord Prabhupada. Thank you. That was a very nice, wonderful conversation. Hearing it and the question I had is, in the second class, Prabhupada was also stressed on the point that service in separation, or we should have a feeling of separation, and while doing that, then slowly we'll advance in our Krishna consciousness. So the question is while staying in the temple, how can one feel that separation?
Like you are living in a temple, therefore, the question is, how do you feel separation? Because the temple's business is 100% Krishna consciousness. So then you wouldn't feel separation. Well, unless you can see with the eyes tinged with the salve of love, you can see everywhere. At that level, that's one thing. But other than that, Prabhupada also said in this lecture that the mercy of the Lord, in the form of the Acha Vigraha, he comes like that so that those of us who cannot really perceive the Lord with these blunt eyes, because that's what we have, we'll be able to associate, or be able to serve, not associate, but serve the Supreme Lord that way. So, yes, in one sense, and this is my take on this, in one sense, you're fortunate that you're living in a building whose business is always 100% Krishna consciousness. But yourself, you have to be advanced to the point where you can see Krishna everywhere. And if you're not at that level, then yes, there's a mercy of the Lord and there's a fortune on your part to be able to be living in a temple and serving. But basically, we're still at that same deficiency that conditioned souls have. You're in the same place, even though you're living in a temple. You're fortunate that you're living in a temple. There's no question. And you do service, good bit of your service, your life, you do is devotion service. That's great. But the question is, how far have you developed? Are you at the Uttama level where you can see? Because if you at the Uttama level, it doesn't matter you're living in a temple, you can see Krishna everywhere. That's one way to look at it. So, yeah, you're fortunate to be living in a temple, same building, that Krishna's business is there 100%. But your own development will very much tie into the extent to which you're connected with Krishna. Now, one more thing, the gopis are in Vrindavan. Krishna is in Vrindavan. Yet there is separation. Even the gopis feel that way. So separation is there. And the final thing is that the separation also, this is from Srila Prabhupada. When we serve in separation, our love for Krishna grows even more. He says, we don't understand when Krishna is gone from the gopis, but when they are missing him, their love intensifies even more. He says, we as materialists will not be able to understand that. But at least, again, we are in that line of missing Krishna because it will help to increase our love for him. That's also another point that Srila Prabhupada talked about. So that's what's coming to me. Hare Krishna. I don't know what anyone else wants to throw in more to answer the question. That's up to you. Okay. Well, any final questions, comments? If not, then thank you very much for coming for these 2 lectures. We had enough time to squeeze in both 1:15:32 and 1:15:33. So have a nice, wonderful Krishna conscious day. If you have a chance to repeat this, you can go to papavani.org and search it out again. There were so many analogies your Papa gave in the 2 lectures. I was very impressed with it. The analogies really get to the point. So you read that, you might benefit even more to go over it sometime, when you have a moment to do that. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripasundibhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Thank you again for coming. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.